go. I think this is working. I'm not sure. This is a weird new setup for the upload. Okay, hi. How you doing? I am kind of in a frantic whatever. I am packing right now, getting ready to leave for the Rainbow Gathering in the Nationals in Tennessee. Yes. If you don't know what it is, I'll put a link down in the description to give you an idea as to what's going on. But anyway, I'm going to quickly post my video, which is late, for legal hassles regarding my crunchy lifestyle. Have I had any? Yes, I have had some. I will tell you about them as briefly as I possibly can without going into too much unnecessary detail. Basically, I was convinced firstly by my mother, who convinced me after a life of never wanting to be in the system, never wanting to be a part of the system, you know, benefits, all that kind of stuff. When I got pregnant, my mother hounded me for 9 months to get on to, like, WIC and all these kind of things, and I didn't want to. No. Well, I caved in, and I decided to do it while she was a newborn, just because I knew we weren't going to doctors, and I just figured it wouldn't hurt to have, like, her get her height and weight and whatever. This is before we had established a sound relationship with our naturopathic doctor, who we have now, and our chiropractor. So, anyway, I went to them for only a few months. We don't go to them anymore, but I went to them for a few times, just enough to get hassled. And yeah, basically it was really confusing because they have this new program, which isn't like old, but it's a new program about WIC, where they have breastfeeding support. They encourage breastfeeding. They even give you like a class, and then like a whole talk, and then a whole seminar, and a bunch of paperwork, and they got posters all over about the importance of breastfeeding, right? Okay, yeah, and I was able to like teach them some things because they don't know everything. They're just starting their program. So I was telling them things that I knew about breastfeeding, and I was all on the up and up. Yay, we're all good. Breastfeeding. Yay. Well, as my visits kind of increased, and I kind of, you know, I didn't go all the time. I skipped a few months, and then I'd go, like, you know, a few months down the road, and we'd come in, and oh, where'd you leave off? Oh, her growth chart. Oh, her weight. Okay. And I was like, this is cool. I got a little card that tells me how much she weighs and you know, how long she is, and I can keep that in my files. Well, I started hearing this whole, like, you know, she's like low on the percentile chart. And I'm like, percentile chart? Yeah, you know, she's really low. She's like really small, and she's like da. So I heard that the first time, and then I went back and I heard it another time. And around the second time, they started telling me, well, are you breastfeeding? Are you eating? Are you doing this? I'm like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I've got all my fats, all my folic acids, all my vitamins, all my nutrients, green leafy vegetables. I'm on it, okay? She nurses all the time, 24/7. This is like when she was like 6 months old, 4 months, between 4 and 6 months. This is around that time. And I'm like, yeah, I'm on it. It's all good. She nurses all the time. She's got 10 to 12 poopy, peeing, and wet diapers. Everything is good. She's just a small baby. So I started doing research at home online, found out that there's two categories of breastfeeding babies. Sometimes breastfeeding babies will be super fat. I don't know why, but sometimes they are heavy and plumpy and roly-poly and huge. But usually, normally, more often than not, they are like my babies. Breastfed babies who are primarily only breastfed are lean and long. It's a classification. They're called lean and long babies. That's what mine was. She was tall, but she's lean. She's not fat. She didn't have a bunch of roly-polies. She was healthy, all that good stuff. So that's what my baby was. So I went in there the next time when they started giving me flack about it, and I was like, yeah, she's just a long and lean baby. She's healthy, and she's just long and lean. You can't see her bones. She's wonderful. She's healthy. She's not sick, blah, blah, blah. Well, they started telling me that I needed to supplement with formula. I should probably try to supplement. And by that time, I said, you know, listen, what kind of chart are you using? You guys are all about breastfeeding advocacy here, but what chart are you using? Are you using a formula-fed chart, or are you using a breastfeeding chart to determine your growth percentile chart? And they said, well, this is just the American Pediatric Society chart. And I said, right, that's a formula-fed chart, right? Yeah, I guess so. Well, that doesn't, you know, that doesn't, simple word here, what is it? That doesn't, it's not relevant to my child, because she's strictly breastfed. So after that, I left. I left them, and they were frowning down their nose at me about that. Not necessarily a legal hassle, but at the same time this was happening, this is because I think that my daughter had like a growth pause. Our children have growth spurts, and then they have growth, they don't grow, they don't have a huge spurt, you know what I mean? And every child is different. Every child grows at different rates. There is no one formula factory. We're not stamped out factory children where everybody grows at the same rate, you know what I mean? So between the ages of 4 and 6 months, my daughter was really small, and she didn't have her growth spurt until like 9 months. So yeah, so she was small. So I had friends, not necessarily friends, but online friends, people who weren't my real life friends, commenting on my pictures on Facebook, telling me, oh, are you sure that, you need to be giving her formula, and you need to be giving her solids, and no, 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 no. I'm like, she's eating solids. By 6 months, she was already exploring solids on her own. No problem. But then I started getting comments, particularly from one person who happened to be type of a stalkerish type energy about them, and they followed me for years, and they got their way into our family and wheedled their way into our life, and they were very secretive, and they were very nosy and abrasive, and they're probably watching this video now because they're that much of a stalker. Well, anyway, this person kind of came into our life, and we, for whatever reason, trusted this person to follow us along and involve her in our family's life and our child's life, and she was all up in it and everything. And anyway, she was the one that started making comments saying, your baby's too small, and na na na, and we mistakenly let her send us some baby presents for our baby shower. So she got like our address or whatever and our phone number. And just don't do that, people. Don't trust people on the internet ever. You can barely trust people you know in real life. But so after we got into a little kind of, I don't know, heard a lot of, your baby should have doubled in weight and they should be bigger by now, and this all came up because this person sent us some clothes that were like 6 to 9 month old clothes, and she wasn't wearing them yet. At 6 months she was still wearing like 3 to 6 month old clothes and 0 to 3. She was small, she wasn't at 6 to 9 month clothes yet, they're made big. And anyway, she got all up in arms because we told her she's not fitting in them yet, and so she gave us this huge lecture on how she's not growing right. Well, the next day, I shit you not, the next day, I got a knock on my front door from a police officer and a CPS agent, okay? And I answered the door, and I'm like, yeah? And they're just like, they started, the guys, I know why they bring friggin' cops with them on the first, they come unannounced, because the rage that built up inside of me when they started telling me why they were there, I was like, the first thing I said, I was like, you don't have a fucking warrant, you need to leave. You know what I mean? That the first thing I said, my defenses were up, I was raging. I was like, how dare you come here? How dare anybody? Who said this? Of course, these are all the things I say. And of course they can't tell you who called in on you. And apparently the person, whoever called on us, was saying that I was starving my child, that I wasn't feeding her, that I didn't feed her, I didn't give her clothes, she didn't have any clothes to wear, that our house was disgusting and infested with like bugs and all these things. And I'm like, what? Nobody has been in our house. Nobody has been in our house since we've had our baby. So I knew this was bogus. So whatever. So after, the CPS guys really, they know how to talk you down and kind of calm you down or whatever. This is their profession. And after I calmed down a little bit, I was just realizing, this is such bogus. Come in. I said, come inside. I will show you my cupboards full of food. I will show you her bedroom. I will show you her mounds of clothes, because she has more clothes than she can wear. I was just like, I was just like, so I brought him in, and I even brought the cop in. I said, come on in, don't do this. Don't do this. Do not do this, people. You don't have to do it. You don't have to let him in. I was naive. I didn't know, and I knew I had nothing to hide. So I let them both in. But first of all, don't ever let a cop in your house. I don't care if you are innocent. They can find anything and use it against you. So don't I mean, they can do anything, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God. So I should have let the cops sit outside and let the CPS guy in, even though I didn't have to let either of them in. They could have made an appointment and got a warrant, and if I could have been a bitch. But I wasn't. I was like, I know what's up. Okay. So I let him in. I showed him her mass amounts of toys, her mass amounts of clothes, and her mass amounts of food. Hello? And I was like, and he's like, well, she's really small. I'm like, well, she's breastfed and she's called long and lean, la la la. So I went through the whole spiel and I got some questions about my snake because I have a snake, and so the cop was like, you know, is that safe to have a snake with a baby? And that's what I mean. Like they were like trying to find anything, and I was like, dude. Yeah, you know, you want to find something? Oh, dude. So anyway, it was a whole spectacle. And I was just like, ugh. But at the end of it all, through the whole tour, I gave them a tour of my entire house, and upstairs, downstairs, basement, attic, and the guy was like, God, this is a nice house. God, this is a very nice house. This is a very big house. This is a nice house. I'm like, yeah, dude, this is a nice house. What's your problem? You know, what are you doing here? And so he just kept saying that, and he kept on going, well, I don't know what the problem is here, but we have to follow up and blah 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 on every call. And I was just like, you have to follow every freaking call from an anonymous caller, no questions asked. They don't even have to give their name. That's bullshit. They should at least have to give you their name, and you can keep it anonymous from us. But you should not be allowed to get an anonymous call from someone who's not going to give you their name, because people can just do that and fuck your life up because they are fucked up. Because I'm lucky. I'm lucky that they dropped my case because there was no case. But other people have not been so lucky because afterwards I started doing research when I was scared and I was nervous and I was like, "Oh my God, look on YouTube. Just type in the search bar CPS takes child or whatever. You will see a list of videos come up of horror stories of parents who are perfectly wonderful parents getting harassed by CPS, getting their children taken, kids being beaten, raped, molested, and dead in the care of CPS. It's horrible. Innocent parents, when there are crack whores and drug addicts and people who are actually abusing their child, and CPS doesn't handle those people. It's mind-boggling. But anyway, my situation was good. They only had one visit. They got to talk to my naturopathic doctor. We got everything in check. Everybody told them that everything's fine, the baby's healthy, the baby's growing steadily, and whatever, whatever. So my case was dropped like that, okay? So, and they apologized, and it was wonderful. But the point being, anybody can call on you for anything, because they had to have a bogus reason to get them over there. They couldn't just say, oh, I think she's starving her child. They had to say that my house was in shambles and falling down and infested, and like I was a hoarder. Like, you've seen hoarders. They were describing my house like that. This guy came into our house and was like, your house is nice, Fuck whoever did that to me. But I know who did it to me. I know who did it to me. I know it was you, Miss Stalker bitch. But regardless, because it was the only person, all the evidence lined up. It was all bullshit, So that was the only person who had access, the only person who had anything to say about us, except for Wick. But yeah, so that's been my legal hassles, all because of breastfeeding, all because my child is long and lean and doesn't fit to the specs of the percentile chart of the formula-fed growth chart. Bullshit. 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 So now I know, though, after studying, that I didn't have to let them in. I could have demanded a warrant. I could have, you know what I mean? But I just knew I didn't have anything to hide, and I knew it was completely asinine. So that's my video. I'm about out of time now, but yeah, I think it's bullshit that people can just call and don't have to give a name. I mean, they should at least mandate that you give a phone number, address, legal name that's on their records, not for us. If they don't want to reveal it to us, it's understandable, because the rage that comes, you want to kill them. But anyway, that's my thing. I gotta go. I'm gonna go to the gathering. I won't see you guys till next week.